While he enjoyed immense wealth, luxury cars, and a very elegant mansion, his elderly mother was begging in the streets to put a beggarly piece of bread in her mouth, all because of his wife. But when the son realized the truth, he did something his wife would never forget. Donna Tomasa had an empty wallet and a cupboard with absolutely nothing in her humble home built of wood. She did not even have a piece of bread to feed herself. Meanwhile, her son Roberto lived in opulence with his wife. Roberto had a good job, his house was very luxurious, and his wife was a beautiful but wicked woman. Also, if you have not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these real-life stories every day. Now, back to the story. Since they were sweethearts, Amanda avoided Donna Tomasa because she seemed insignificant to her, although in reality she did not come from a good birth. Her family was humble, but she was haughty and pretentious. She always thought that when she married, she would marry a man who would give her all the luxuries that her parents could not. And in Roberto, she found not only a handsome and intelligent man, but also the perfect provider who could fulfill all her whims. As a teenager, her classmates called her the portrait because she always went to celebrations with the same clothes because her parents could not constantly update her closet, as they had 5 children to support. That frustrated the beautiful young girl, and she swore to herself that she would overcome that situation of poverty and that one day she would have a beautiful closet full of clothes and branded shoes. Roberto, on the other hand, grew up in that little wooden house surrounded by the affection of his mother, who didn't give him luxuries either, but he never lacked food and clothes. Donna Tomasa washed and ironed other people's clothes so she could support her son. Sometimes she also took care of rich girls' pets, bathed them, and took them for walks to earn extra money. Roberto admired Donna Tomasa very much because she was a hard-working woman and was not ashamed of what she did, and above all, she gave him all the support he needed so he could study. Many times the lady would make handmade candies and would go to bed in the middle of the night or in the early morning finishing wrapping them. Not only once did she burn her hands with those hot candies, while the next day her son was selling them at school. All that was always present in the mind of Roberto, who strived to be an excellent student in order to excel in life. The lady had always given her best for her son, who went to study abroad with the help of a priest who was a friend of theirs. The boy achieved all his professional goals, and when he returned to the country, he got an excellent job. He bought a house where he lived with his mother, which was actually very luxurious and comfortable. Donna Tomasa lived very happily. She no longer had to work, and her son treated her like a queen because he really loved her and was immensely grateful for all her sacrifices. When he met Amanda, he fell in love at first sight. He talked to her for a few minutes, and then they danced the night away at the birthday of Julian's sister, Roberto's best friend. Later, they met at a restaurant, and Roberto thought it was not a coincidence but a sign of destiny, so he asked her for her phone number. But the girl told him that she didn't have it because it had recently been damaged and she had not been able to replace it. However, the truth was that she had never had one because her parents could not afford to buy it for her, but she always tried to keep up appearances. Finally, they arranged to meet at a coffee shop on the weekend. The day and the time arrived. Roberto was there, very punctual, and when he saw Amanda arrive, he was more impressed than the first time he saw her because she had really taken care of her grooming and he was spellbound. It was the first date, and Roberto arrived with a gift that turned out to be the best for Amanda. It was a last-generation cell phone. At first, the girl did not want to receive it because she argued that she felt sorry because they were just getting to know each other, but he told her not to be ashamed because he wanted them to get to know each other better since he was interested in her. Those words fell on the girl like honey and flakes, since apart from the fact that she was interested in Roberto because he was handsome and intelligent, he also fit her stereotype of a prosperous man who could lift her out of poverty. The boys started dating when Roberto took her to his house to meet Donna Tomasa. The young woman was convinced that she was on the right track when she saw the luxuries in his house. She also looked down on Donna Tomasa because she seemed like an insignificant woman. On one visit, while Roberto went out to buy groceries, the bride told Donna Tomasa that she did not want to live with her if she married her son, to which the lady replied that she should not worry because she had her own house and was going to return to it and give them the space they deserved. On another occasion, she asked if she didn't have enough clothes because she saw her repeating the same ones, and Donna Tomasa answered that her clothes were not important. And little by little, the young woman was getting into the house. She would come to sleep over with Roberto, and she would make decisions about what ornaments she could or could not put in the house. She also went shopping with the young man, and little by little, they were pushing Donna Tomasa aside. So the lady talked to her son and told him that she missed her house very much and that she was going to return to it. Roberto did not agree, but the lady convinced him that it was for the best. A month later, the couple was getting married, and that day Amanda practically declared war on Donna Tomasa and asked her not to come home and not to ask her son for money because now they would have other expenses and she would have to find a way to survive. Donna Tomasa told her not to worry, that she was used to working and that she would continue to do so in order not to bother anyone. The lady bought provisions with her savings and settled down in her humble house. However, a couple of months later, everything had run out as she had also bought medicines. No matter how hard she looked in the cupboard, everything was empty. And there was only a spoonful of sugar that she poured into a glass of water, and that was her breakfast. After thinking about it a lot, she went to Roberto's house, but her daughter-in-law opened the door and told her not to come in and leave because her son was not there. In reality, Roberto was in the house, but she denied it and warned him that she needed money to buy clothes. But he told her that he could not give it to her at that moment and asked her to please take a certain amount of cash to his mother, which he gave her in an envelope. When Roberto left for work, Amanda got into her car and went shopping with the lady's money. The next day, Donna Tomasa asked a man for a job in a hardware store, but he told her that because of her age, it was impossible to employ her. Then she asked him if he could give her something to eat because she had not eaten for 3 days. At that moment, Roberto appeared, welcome to buy some things he needed. "Mom, what are you doing asking for work and food? How come you haven't eaten for days?" asked Roberto. "Son, it's the truth. I only had a glass of sugar water the day I went looking for you and I couldn't find you," answered the lady. "When did you go looking for me, Mom?" said her son. At that moment, the lady fainted. She had to be taken to a clinic because of her advanced state of dehydration due to the lack of food intake. Roberto spent the whole time with her, and when she was discharged, he took her home. Just at that moment, Amanda was also returning home with a cart full of shopping, clothes, shoes, perfumes, and she showed her husband everything she had bought. "It was all very nice, my love, but mi vida, could you tell me if you gave the money to my mom?" "Yes, of course, yes, my love. I handed her the money and even took her some groceries so she didn't have to go out to the supermarket," said the woman. "You know, Amanda, if there's one thing I hate, it's lying. You kicked my mother out of the house, you denied me, and the worst thing is that you stole her money, and my mother was begging because she had nothing to eat. So from now on, she is coming home," said the man. "Look, Roberto, if your mother comes home, I'm leaving because this is our house. You and I are husband and wife, and no one else has to live with us. But if you prefer her to be here, we are going to have problems." "Calm down, my love. We're not going to have any problems because if you can't live with my mother, I can't stay with you either. So you can pick up your things and go back to your parents' house and we will divorce because before everything in life, there is my mother, the woman who dedicated herself to working so that I could be somebody." At that moment, Amanda realized that she could lose all the comforts she had gained with her husband. So she had no choice but to accept that her mother-in-law would live with her. Roberto made a wise decision and knew how to recognize his mother's sacrifice. That is why all of us children have an obligation to take care of our parents, and they should be above anyone else, especially when they wish to harm them. Now tell us, what did you think of this story? We want you to share with us your answers in the comment section. We look forward to talking to you in our next video. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider sharing it with someone who may find it interesting. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next one.